Hey everybody, this is Dan Collins of the CUNY Kingsborough Math and Computing Department, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to use the Blackboard Course Merge Tool, which allows you to combine students from separate sections into one single place in your Blackboard system. Now this is very powerful, probably the single most advanced tool that I know how to use in Blackboard. It does save me a lot of time once I get it set up, but it's a little tricky to set up. I would say that the user interface is not super well labeled, to be honest, so you want to be a little careful with this, and I do hope that this video will help guide you through the process. So let's just give you an overview of what's going to happen here. As I said, the Course Merge Tool is basically going to copy student registrations from one of your Blackboard modules into another. And obviously the most common use of this is if you have multiple sections of one single course, you might as well have the students all in one single database basically, so that they can access the same announcements and the same assignments and the same tests and the same documents, and you don't have to upload all that stuff multiple times, you just upload it once. So the example I'm going to walk you through here today is actually back from 2016. I'm recording this in March of 2020, but the last time I did this back in 2016, I had 3 sections of what was really one single course here at Kingsborough, our math M200 math course. So I had 3 sections, and they happened to be sections 34 and 39 and 40 in the system. They did have 25 students registered in each, but I was just going to give the same documents and the same assignments to all 3 sections, so it didn't seem like it made sense to have to upload all those things 3 separate times for the 3 separate sections. So here's what you're going to see me doing here today, just like I did when I was actually running those courses. I'm going to take the first 2 courses, and in Blackboard parlance, those are going to be called the source courses, specifically sections 34, 39, and I'm going to copy all of the student registrations from those first 2 courses into the 3rd course, which you see there is section 40, and in Blackboard terminology, that's called the merged course. And of course, maybe a lot of the time you're just going to be merging one source course into one merged course, or you could do it with 3 or 4 or 5 if you happen to have a whole lot. But that's what we're going to happen. That's what will happen here today. Is I'm going to take those first 2 courses, merge all the students into the 3rd course. So I hope that makes sense. Let's consider about what's going to happen here before we do this and whether we really want to do this. So pros and cons. So the big pro is that this is going to avoid duplication of announcements, content uploads, assignments and tests and grade center setup and everything between sections. It will be a huge time saver, and that is the one single pro, and frankly it's enormous and really why you want to do this. Everything that you would normally have to do in multiple sections is just going to be one single place, and all your students will be going to one single place to access that stuff, and it'll be much more, you'll have a lot more mental clarity about what you're doing from day to day. There are a couple of cons as always. Now, item number 1 is you cannot, once you have the merged course, there is no way to distinguish dates or times for any assignments or tests or anything else between the different sections. So hypothetically, if you wanted to give a Blackboard test at the same time as your scheduled course, and one is at 1 p.m. and one is at 2 p.m. and the other course is supposed to be at 3 p.m., you cannot do that. You're going to have one test, and you're going to have to set one availability window, and for an assignment you're going to have to set one specific due date and time, and you cannot distinguish those between students that are technically coming from different sections officially in the CUNY system. If you give an announcement, right? If you give an announcement and you say, we will have a study session at such and such a time, you can't make that announcement separately for the separate sections. If that was important, you'd actually have to put literally in the announcement, if you're in section 34, we'll be meeting at 1 p.m. And if you're in section 39, we'll be meeting at 2 p.m. or something like that. If your final exam dates and times are different, you're going to have to explicate that in the announcement and make sure students read that carefully. So that's one thing you'll have to be aware of. And the other thing is when you get all done with the semester, you'll have this one giant list of basically alphabetized students from all the sections. And at least here at CUNY First, we do have to fill out our grade rosters section by section. So you are going to have to manually differentiate which student was in which section originally in order to properly fill in your CUNY First grade rosters. In our math and computing department, we also have department-specific roll books that are differentiated by section. And again, you're going to have to manually differentiate which student is really in which roll book roster. I suppose you could get fancy. You could download it to a spreadsheet. You could use some spreadsheet magic for those, like a VLOOKUP function, I guess. But I have not been able to figure out how to do this in Blackboard. As hard as I tried, I cannot find any way of recording which section a student came from originally in Blackboard. So you've got to do that externally, possibly by hand. Now, maybe one of those items, one of those cons there is make or break for you, and you don't want to get involved with this as a result, but probably not. Probably that pro of avoiding duplication of all the announcements and all the content and all the assignments and all the tests all semester long is going to be overwhelmingly in your favor, save you an enormous amount of time over the course of the semester, and you are probably going to want to do this. Every single time I have two sections of one course, I always do this. And if I do need to put in an announcement that something is distinguished, okay, we do that, and it works out perfectly fine. So just to give you an overview of the basic steps we'll go through here, we're going to find the section merge tool on the home page of Blackboard. It's not inside a course. It's actually on the home page itself before you enter any courses, because it is a tool that's managing multiple courses at once. So that certainly makes sense. Once you get inside there, we'll choose to set up a new merged course. You'll actually be looking at a list of all the courses that were merged in the past, but you'll click on this Set Up New Merged Course button. Then we're going to select the source courses. Remember, those are the two courses, or one or two or three, that we're pulling students from. We'll select the source courses first. Then near the end, we'll select the one merged course, which is receiving those students. And then once we've done that, we'll just verify that the merged course actually happened. It should show up in that list of merged courses, and it's probably smart if you go into the course, the merged course, and just make sure that the number of students is correct. For example, I've got 25 students in each of these M2 courses, so my merged course really ought to have 75 students by the time I'm done. So you can verify that. That's basically the merged course process. But there is one other thing that we're going to do at the end. There's this last step, is we will go in and those source courses in the Blackboard homepage we will make unavailable to the students. Because if you don't do this, your students in those source courses will actually see both. They'll see the original source course, and they'll also see the merged course that they've been added to. And when this has happened for me, my students have gotten confused. They've asked, which one should I go into? Or, I went into the one that my section number matches, but there's no content and there's no announcements and there's nothing. And the first time that happened to me, I was like, oh, I see what's happening. And so what you ought to do is just make those source courses unavailable, make them invisible to students. There'll only be one single version of that course for them to see, and they won't be confused about which one they ought to interact with, even though technically, right, the section number isn't going to match what's on their registration. But as long as you make that unavailable, then it's not an issue, and I've never had a problem with that. You can see the steps we're going to go through on the screen here. You go into the course, customization, properties, set availability, set that to no, and then submit. One little caution here, this might possibly confuse you in terms of how the Blackboard administration at CUNY works. And so what happens is for all the Blackboard courses, I believe what happens is about 1 week before the semester starts, the Blackboard administrator automatically turns all the availability on for all the courses. And then about a week after the finals, they turn it off for everybody. So what's happened to me before is I've been setting up my courses pretty well in advance, like maybe a month before the semester starts, and I've made the source courses unavailable for this purpose. But then the 1 week moment comes and the Blackboard administrator actually sets them all back on to availability. And once again, my students are confused that they're seeing two sections of the course that they're in. So maybe just the first week of class go in, like if you did it way ahead of time like I do, the first week of class go in and just really make sure that those source courses are unavailable to avoid confusion. Again, that's kind of just the last step. That's not really the Merge Courses tool, but we'll make sure to do that so that our students aren't confused. One last word of caution. Once you've merged courses, you can disassociate them. There is a button there that says disassociate this section from the merged course. You can totally do that. However, if you have any grades at all, for the students that were added to the merged course, they will all be totally gone. They'll just be immediately deleted. There's no way to get them back, and they will be completely gone for the entire semester. So there's probably no need to ever do that. I have actually never ever disassociated sections from merged courses in the past. I just want to make sure that, like, when you get to that end semester moment and you need to differentiate the students for your CUNY first roster and your department roll book, you do not think that disassociating the merged course is going to help you, because the moment you do that, all the grades are gone, and obviously that's not something you want. So once you merge the courses, just leave it like that forever, and you won't have any problems. So that's more or less the scope of the process. Let's actually go do that. So here I am on my CUNY Kingsborough Blackboard main page, and you can see over here on the left that I have a whole bunch of courses here, and I have momentarily reactivated these sections that I had back in 2016 of these multiple MA2, MAT M200 courses. There's section 34, there's section 39, there's section 40. They are currently all available to students right this section, and I'm going to do this course merge process of getting the first two student registration groups into the third one to just deal with it there. So very first thing we need to do is we need to find the section merge tool on this home page. Now for me currently, you can see that it's over on the right. It's like the second thing on the far right column. For you, it could be in a different location. You may or may not notice, you may or may not know this already, but all these toolbars, all these modules as they're called on the home page, are movable. And you see here, if I move over this particular tool, you get that little crossbar here, which means I can grab it with a button down and move it someplace else. I could move that further down here if I wanted to. Actually, I guess it went all the way to the bottom here, so it's actually a little fiddly. Okay, went all the way to the bottom here. I could move it to the second column over here. The important thing is that line. You see that one little line? That's where it's going to get dropped. So I'm kind of paying attention to that. So for you, maybe it's here in the second column. Maybe it's here in the first column. Again, I kind of like it over here as far up in the third column as I can put it. Right, trying to get it right here. There you go. The other thing that might make this page look different for you is that these tools are all collapsible. Over here on the left, you see this arrow here, and that arrow allows you to expand the tool, right? See the whole thing here? This tool below it might be expanded for you. I think that's the default here at CUNY. I have collapsed a lot of these tools using that arrow because I never use any of this stuff down here. So I've collapsed them all and tried to get them out of my way as much as possible there. So take a look for that section merge tool. It might possibly be anywhere on this page. Click the arrow to the left there and see, expand it so that it says the course merge tool allows you to merge two or more courses that you are teaching into a single course that contains enrollments for all the users. And then, of course, the button is actually here. Click here to create and manage merged courses. Now, I will actually say that when I was setting up for this video, I didn't even have the section merge tool on my home page. And I can't figure out how that was the case. And I contacted the Blackboard administrator, and they can't figure out how that was the case. In case this actually isn't even visible here, you can go all the way up to the top left, find this Add Module button, then you'll get a search bar, and you'll type in Merge, right? And then it will actually, among the many, many, many tools that are available in Blackboard, will give you the option of adding the section merge tool back to your home page. That's kind of the last line of defense there if you don't even see it at all. But hopefully you'll see the section merge tool and you'll expand it, and we are about to click here to create and manage merged courses. So here I am on the Managed Merged Courses page, and what this list is showing us here is courses that have already been merged for the system of my particular instruction. So some of these courses are things that I have personally set up. I have been teaching at Kingsborough for a while, So in prior semesters when I merged courses, these are appearing here. In our department, the other thing that's showing here is that the department administration makes merged courses in order to handle our common departmental finals in certain courses, such as the M1 course, the Math 9 College Algebra course is done like this now, is they set up one single course, copy all the student enrollments for all those sections into one place so that they can manage the final exam process conveniently. So some of these I have set up, some of these departments set up a number of prior merged courses here. You could modify them if you wanted to. I'm not going to actually modify any of those. What I'm interested in here is this button at the top here that says Set Up New Merged Course is what we're going to do today. So I'll click on that and get started with that. So here I am on the Select Courses to Merge page. And the first time I read that title, I was personally a little confused. But remember what's happening here is we are picking the source courses to copy student enrollments out of. For my example, I'm going to be picking 2 here. Notice that the selection boxes on the far left are these square check boxes, which on a web interface like this allows us to pick more than one. So if you the square boxes, you'll be able to pick more than one, and that clearly has to be the source courses in our example. So having taught for quite a while at Kingsborough here, I have a rather large number of courses. It's showing me everything that I've ever taught that's available in Blackboard here. And my courses do go back to 2012. They go on for 3 pages actually here in the system. So I am going to want to be a little bit careful about finding the exact courses that I want to teach, that I want to have here in the merged course. Fortunately here at Kingsborough, the names of the courses are prefixed with the year that the course was taught. So if it's probably smart of me if I sort this list according to name, and then I can probably just find it in basically chronological order. So if I click the title of the name column one time, it's going to sort that in ascending order. So you see that my oldest courses appear here, but probably you want to deal with courses that you're teaching this semester. So you'll click that again, and you're going to reverse the order of that sort. There we go. So now I have, now that I've done that, reverse chronological order based on the name here. Now you see the courses that I'm actually teaching this semester. And for you, that's probably where the courses you want to merge are right there. So just kind of be careful about that. Check off the ones that you're interested in. For me, since in this example I'm using courses back from 2016, I got to go back in the list, going back in the list. I guess I have to go to the second page here. Let's see. Okay, so here's 2016 spring term, and I can see here the M2 courses that I was interested in dealing with, kind of in reverse order here. So here's section 40, here's section 39, here's section 34, and again our plan was to use 34 and 39 as the source courses, right? I'll leave 40 unchecked, but the ones that I've checked here are the ones that I'm going to copy enrollments out of. And when I'm happy with that, I'll go down to the bottom right here and I'll click Submit. Now I'm on the page that says Select an Existing Course. And again, if I were to critique the UI here, I would say select an existing course for what? The label here doesn't tell me. But to be clear, you are now selecting the merged course that will receive the copied student enrollments from those 2 things that we just picked before. Notice that the selection buttons here are these round radio buttons. And in a standard web interface, you can only pick one of these at a time. So if you see the round buttons, clearly you're picking the one and only merged course to receive enrollments. And let me see, 2016 spring term. Right, here it is. So here's the MAT M200 section 40 from the 2016 spring term that I was planning on using as the merged course. So I'll just click that. Notice again, if you pick another one, right, it doesn't let you keep that selected. This is what's called a radio button. So I'll select that section 40 here. And once you're happy with that, I'll go down to the bottom and I'll click Submit. Again, this is a powerful thing that you're doing here. So it does put up a confirmation box here. It says, please confirm that you wish to merge the selected courses, because it's a fairly heavy-duty thing that you're doing here. I'm pretty sure I'm doing the right thing, and I will click OK. Now, here is managing the merged course. So it's kind of showing me what's happening with this particular merged course to confirm what's happening. At the top, you see the label of the receiving course. MAT M200 section 40. And inside here, you see the two sections that it's pulling student registrations from, the section 39, the section 34. If I'd made a mistake, if I'd made an error, right, I could click the Disassociate button right here. Really no harm at this point because obviously I don't have any grades set up for the students in the merged course. So if I had made an error, go ahead and click the Disassociate button. But again, I'm pretty sure that this is what I intended. So down at the bottom right, I'll click OK. That sends me back to the first screen that we were looking at, the Managed Merged Courses. Again, the list of all the merged courses, of all the courses that I've ever taught here. And if I look down here, I can see that this is new now. Here's the 2016 spring term, section 40, which actually contains all its original students, plus all the students from sections 34 and 39. So it looks pretty good there. I'm pretty sure that worked properly. I'll click OK. Now, here I am back on the home page finally. If I were you, what I would do is I would go into the merged course. I would check in on the Grade Center, check off the box that actually lets you to select all the students, see what the total count is. And for me, again, if each of these sections has 25 students, I would make sure that this section 40 now looks like it has 75 students, all of them together. I'm not going to do that in this video because obviously that would be showing actual student data, which obviously we don't want to do here. I will skip that for the purposes of the video, but you probably ought to go do that to be absolutely sure what that's going to look like once you've done that. So I've got the merged courses, but remember there's this final step here is that all three of these things in the past, the way that it's worked, would still be visible to the students in two of them. Now I'm noticing here that actually two of these things, the things that I merged, actually turned to not currently available. So maybe that's a new feature in Blackboard since the last time I used it. Maybe it automatically makes it not available, which is super smart. But remember that the Blackboard administrator at CUNY will still go through and override that with 1 week to go before our semester. So this might actually turn back to available and confuse the students. So I will go through the process to show you how to make that unavailable to make sure you know how to do that if that's important for you. So I'm going to click on that first merged course here inside this module. And really nothing here, right? So this is a module that I actually never used when I was teaching the course at all because I used the merged facility. But down here under customization and then properties, and then kind of scrolling down here, set availability, make course available. I definitely want that to be no, which it was right here. But actually, I will say that when the video started here, that was set to yes. So what I'm more or less doing right this second is confirming that that really is set to no so that students won't see it. And I'll click submit. And I'll go back to the home page. Now notice that even though that course is marked as not currently available, you, the instructor, can still see it, right? The students can't see it when it has that mark, but you, the instructor, can still see that. Let me just make sure that's the case for the other merge section, the section 39. And again, customization and properties. And scroll down here to set availability. And yeah, I want that to be no, so students do not see that. And click submit. And back to the home page. So at this point, even though the students in those two merged courses cannot see them, you can. Remember in the other video I made on cleaning up your My Courses module, if you don't want to see them now, and there's really no need for you to interact with them ever again, go up to this gear icon, click on that, check off the marks next to these two courses, and then they actually won't be visible to you either. If you want them back, go back to the gear icon and set it back if you want. But I would actually make these no longer visible. Why don't I do that, actually? I guess I might as well just do that quickly. So gear icon. And find those sections that I merged. Here they are. This 34 and the 39. Uncheck those. I'll click submit. And now I don't see those either. So now, from my perspective, I'm just seeing this one single course that has all 75 student enrollments on it. That's what my students see as well. And this will be so much easier going forward that semester of just upload documents to one single place, just make announcements in one single place, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically reduces my workload by about 66%, which is super nice. So that's the process of setting up your merged courses like that I do hope saves you a lot of time in the upcoming semester if you do have multiple sections of one course. Again, be a little bit careful about it. Maybe take the steps in the list. Have the video stepped through and paused as you go through it the first time. You're only going to do this once a semester right at the start, so it's easy to possibly forget what the interface looks like from semester to semester when you look at it in the future. Just be a little careful about it. Remember, don't disassociate the courses after you've got grades for the merged students, because those grades will just evaporate into nothingness and you won't be able to get it back. Once you merge it, just leave it like that. No need to ever disassociate it. Remember, you will have to manually differentiate the students in the different sections for your grade roster at the end. But overall, enormously profitable in terms of your time during the semester. And your time is probably among the most precious things that you have for helping your students out. So I hope that that's helpful for you this semester. If you have any questions, please email me, dcollins at the Kingsborough email system. And if I can help you at all getting through that process, or something looks a little bit different on your end than it did in this example, I'd be happy to help you. And I'll talk to you next time.